So every year Chevrolet Performance brings out a new catalog. This one is from this previous year for 2023, and so it's always full of new part numbers and new parts, sometimes new crate engines, as well as new combinations for connect and cruise, and it gives you kind of a guide of what you're wanting to do for if you're planning out a build or just kind of messing around thinking about it. So if you're like me, you've got a few of them in your collection, and some of us around here might even have some of the old collections. Definitely not going to find any of these parts on the shelf. But now, if you guys were paying attention at SEMA, we have the new 2024 catalog. I'm going to go over a few things that are in this catalog that have been announced that might catch your attention a little bit. Of course, you guys notice right off the bat, you've got a completely new 502 crate. This is the SP502, and of course the valve covers, if you guys notice right there, looks more like the ZZ632. We had a lot of customers, including people just in social media in general, that you could see everywhere that was like, I want those valve covers on my big block. So you guys are wanting kind of that same style in your engine bay. Those valve covers are actually available not just on the 502 itself, but you can get some valve covers separately that they have announced within this catalog. So I'm going to go through here and kind of trickle through a few of the things that they've added, and we can discuss the power gains and differences between previous setups, as well as kind of pay attention to some of the things that are not in here from the previous year. Now, of course, I already had the PDF for this and last year's, so I kind of scrolled between the two with two different monitors to kind of see some of the differences and some of the stuff that still stayed the same. Now, of course, they're going to, just right off the bat, new for 2024, they're going to throw a few of the things out at you. Of course, this one has the new 525 RLB, the SP502, the new E-Crate, some of you guys might be interested in, some of y'all will not, as well as the new L8P, not L8T, but L8P. So I'm going to go through here. We've got a few of these new crates. It's really neat. So in the back of the catalog is the SP502 Deluxe. So you've got all your big blocks and everything in the very, very back. The SP502 605 Deluxe makes 605 horsepower and 580 pound-feet of torque. So how does it get that gain over the ZZ502, which it is just a kind of a hopped up version of? So part of it is in the compression ratio. They bumped the compression ratio up from 9.6 to 1 to 10 to 1, as well as a more aggressive camshaft. So the ZZ502 camshaft was a 224 degree duration on the intake, 234 on the exhaust, with 527 lift on the intake, 544 on the exhaust. And so that was a pretty good and healthy cam. We've seen a lot of really good results for our customers that have bought these and put them into swaps or race cars or anything along those lines. So the SP502 is now a little bit more aggressive with the 246 degree intake duration, 258 degrees on the exhaust. But now the lift is where it really gets interesting. They went up to a 649 lift on the intake and 650 on the exhaust. So a little bit more aggressive. They kept the same intake as well as the carburetor, so it's still an 870 CFM 4-barrel. So everything else is relatively the same. They also made a change to the oil pan. So you can see on the oil pan between the two, so the ZZ502 has just got a regular stamped steel setup, whereas the SP502 has inherited the kicked out sump that you see on the ZZ632. So pretty neat design overall. Looks like some of the guys are going to really enjoy that. We've got the valve covers for the ZZ632, as you can see right here. These are pretty neat. You can actually buy those separately. I haven't seen them show up on inventory just yet. You also have the black with the 502, which you can see on the SP502, as well as orange and black valve covers that don't have the displacement, but it has the bow tie and Chevrolet text across. So for you guys that are running a little bit of a different displacement but still have a fun big block, these are going to be a nice piece to dress it up, especially if you're wanting to get a little bit of something different to make yours stand out from the rest of the crowd. We're going to move back to this area, the circle track section. Why the circle track? Well, we've got a nice little addition here, and this is a really fun setup, but it's not circle track. It's actually for our off-road guys. It's the 525 RLB, which is a factory sealed LS3 with an ASA camshaft. For you guys that have been paying attention to the crate engines that we have for those, it's essentially a CT525 or DR525 without the intake manifold. So the DR525, of course, has the LS3 plastic manifold, and then the CT525 has got a a single plane high ram, not high ram, but a single plane intake for a carburetor. So this one, of course, is going to be a factory sealed engine for you guys that are running in some of the off-road racing series that recognize this as an engine valid for your classes. I don't know the classes off the top of my head. We were actually surprised to see this because I saw a picture of this part of the catalog posted on Instagram a few months ago by Bill Caswell, who had shared it from one of the off-road racing series, and I was like, oh, cool, new engine. So these are actually available. They are, we do see inventory for these. So if you guys have any questions about it, feel free to give us a call, shoot us a message or anything else, and we can try and get you guys set up before the next part of the race season, which is going to be here before we even know it, which is just kind of how it is nowadays. So moving on from the 525 RLB, in the E-Rod systems, this one is from the 2021 catalog. You see quite a bit available. You know, you've got your LS3, your LSA, you've got an LT1 and LT4. That disappeared. We lost the LSA. And they're only showing the LS3 for 2023, which of course I believe they still had the LT1 and LT4. But now we're down to the LT1 and LT4 alone as things get tougher to find and source for some of the older systems and keep them in compliance for all the 50 state legality and keeping those states happy. So of course we have our LT1 and LT4 systems. Those are available for both 6-speed and automatics. So of course for those that are really wanting to enjoy it, they've actually moved up, and we have the 10-speed as well as far as availability is concerned. Not really a whole lot exciting on those, but for those that are wanting to do a swap into a car with one of these engines, it's probably going to be a huge jump in power over what they already had before, as well as, you know, ease of maintenance and driving and all that stuff. So you probably saw this announcement during SEMA. We were talking about it a little bit, was the L8P. We are huge fans and proponents of the L8T crate engine. You guys have probably seen the videos of us putting over 2,000 horsepower out of a factory block. So the L8P is a nice bump over the existing power that you can get out of the L8T. You're still having to deal with the weight penalty of that extremely dense and strong cast iron block over, say, an LT1. But they went through and they added a little bit more aggressive cam. We still feel like you could probably go a little bit more aggressive, but I figured this engine is going to be with us for a few more years, and we'll probably be seeing it released in stages from Chevrolet Performance. We, of course, have done higher compression, bigger cam, port injection, and we've made over 800 horsepower at the crank on some of ours that we use for our race development. And of course, this is not a race engine, so you guys are going to be able to have a little bit more livability with these instead of just having something that's way more high-strung setup for a race car. So differences between the L8P and the L8T. You flip the pages and you're like, corporate would say they're the same thing. But on the inside is the camshaft is going to be a little bit different. So talking about the gains, you have 122 horsepower and 79 pound-feet of torque gain over the L8T. So what's the difference? So the stock camshaft for the L8T is 193 degrees duration on the intake and 199 degrees on the exhaust. That's pretty tiny, but that engine was designed to work and operate forever. It's not designed for crazy amounts of power. It was designed for survivability and durability. So lift on the cam is 500 on the intake and 492 on the exhaust. And then the camshaft they installed in this one, they say it's inspired by the LT2, but I didn't really see any specs that were like, yeah, that's an LT2. Camshaft duration is 218 degrees on the intake, 231 on the exhaust, 549 lift on the intake, and 549 on the exhaust. So a little bit more power. You guys can probably see the difference between the two dyno charts here. It shifted the torque up a little bit, but it's still doing the classic Gen 5 LT where it's just a tabletop of torque all the way across from down low all the way up high, which is a nice thing about, you know, a stock system with VVT. You're able to get the torque as well as the horsepower out of it. So for you guys that are looking for a little bit more power out of that, you know, you've got your L8P. We also have a ton of Gen 5 LT camshaft grinds for you guys that are looking for a little bit more. You know, you've probably seen the Gas Monkey C10. That was an L8T that we supplied along with one of our camshaft grinds. It was the 230, 239 cam, and it sounds healthy, it works healthy. So moving from the L8P, we're going to move to something that some of you guys are not going to be super interested in, but it's something that Chevrolet Performance has been, you know, trying to beat the drum on for a while, and it's the E-Crate. This one is somewhat controversial to some of y'all. There's some people that have expressed interest, but it's taken a while for this to finally get proven and out to a certain point where you can actually, you know, purchase these components. Now, of course, this is something we're not going to have on our website or available through us because we are not certified as far as being an installer. There's a lot of safety requirements for this, and there's a lot of work that has to go through to be able to prove yourself as a shop and an installer to Chevrolet Performance and to Chevrolet in general. And so, as far as I know, it's only Lingenfelter and Cognazi Motorsports that are certified to be able to do these installations. So I guess get yourself in line pretty quick if you're wanting to do this. Now, of course, the E-Crate is going to be a combination of things from components that you would find from the Chevrolet Bolt, not the Volt, which is the hybrid. The Chevrolet Bolt has a large skateboard style platform with the battery down at the base, as well as a 200 horsepower electric motor. And then, of course, they show all of the other components. There's two different part numbers for a long wheelbase and a short wheelbase kit, which I'm going to guess is pretty much going to come down to, you know, how everything connects for charging as well as maintaining everything for the battery. Now, of course, all of that is going to be really neat. They've got all the components lined up so that you know what all is involved and what is included in this kit. There's a lot of different modules, and it took a lot of work for the engineers to be able to make all of this stuff work happily. And so that's, I mean, it's a complex system overall, but to some people it might seem relatively simple. There are already swaps happening elsewhere using other components. We've seen various other competing manufacturers that have released their own connect and cruise, so to speak, kits or E-Crates, and this is just the natural progression of things as these components become more and more readily available, as well as stuff like this becomes part of what you see on the shelves more and more often, and these other guys start slowly disappearing. So, what do you guys think about this year's catalog? That's pretty much it. There's a few other little odds and ends that you might see, you know, for those that are a little bit more steely-eyed than me, and but looks like it's very exciting. You know, the fact that we've still got big blocks coming out with some new modifications and changes. Still have, you know, Gen 5 LT and LS coming along and still going strong. So which one's your favorite engine? Which one would you want to put in your car? We'd love to hear, you know, comment down below. Let us know what you're working on, what you want to put in your car, what you're going to use it for. We've already seen ZZ632s get put into OBS pickups, you know, classics. We've seen it in Project X now that they got rid of the E-Crate and they put that in there, as well as an airboat. An airboat, guys. Like, y'all are crazy. It's amazing because you guys will buy this stuff off the shelves and stuff it into anything possible. Maybe even a Chevette. Who knows? Thanks again for stopping by. and we'll see you guys next time for some more product updates as well as tech videos. So like, share, subscribe, click the bell, and all the other fun odds and ends, and we will see you guys next time.